Hi, I'm Diane McGinnis. Welcome to Families Future Present. Today I want to talk a little bit about families in the future, which is the subject of marriage contracts, or what's colloquially known as prenups. Lots of people wonder, do I need a prenup? Who needs a prenup? I don't want to talk about prenups. It's not very romantic. I'm afraid that my partner will think I don't think I'm serious, or I'm worried about us separating if I ask for a prenup. So many questions. And there are answers to those questions. The first one is, do you need a marriage contract? Well, a marriage contract is something that you can enter into before you get married and settle financial issues between you. It's also something that you can enter into after you get married. So who needs a marriage contract? Well, I can tell you that when my husband and I got married over 30 years ago, we were both students. Neither of us had any money, and we didn't have much in the way of student debt. We were lucky in those days, so there was really no need for a prenup. Everything that we've acquired during our marriage, and if we were to separate, everything would be split between us 50-50. But who needs a marriage contract? Well, more and more people today are marrying when they're more mature. So often you'll have savings, you'll have assets, you may have purchased a house. And in those situations, considering a marriage contract is something that you might want to talk to a lawyer about. The family law in Canada generally states that people who marry are entitled to share in assets acquired during the marriage on a 50-50 basis. So there's an assumption that if you're marrying someone, it's your intention to share assets with them, to share the wealth of the family. Now, if you're starting with nothing, it's not a big deal. But let's say you own a house. If you purchase a house before you're married and your new spouse moves in with you, that spouse acquires a 50% interest in the house, even though that person may or may not have contributed anything financially toward the value of the house. So if that's a situation you're in, I think you should definitely get legal advice before getting married. Now, one of the things that people do is they have a lot of money in the bank and then they purchase the house after they get married. Well, in that case, if you use all of your savings, and then after you get married, you use it to purchase the house, guess what? If you separate in the future, you can show that you had money in the account before you got married. You don't need to share that. You can exclude that from the assets that were acquired during the course of the marriage when it comes to dividing assets. So that's another situation where you might want to seek legal advice before you get married. I generally think that anyone who has acquired any type of wealth before they get married should really have serious financial conversations with their future spouse. My experience has been that when people get together and have conversations about their finances, their financial situation, they really talk about it frankly and set up an agreement as to how they want to deal with financial matters during the marriage. This sets them up for success in the marriage because they're already used to having difficult financial conversations, and they develop a strategy for having these conversations in the future. It's the people who put their heads in the sand and think it's never going to happen to me. I don't need to worry about it. And then when the time comes, they say, I wish I'd have dealt with it. So if you're getting married and you have some assets, think about talking to a lawyer, and I would actually recommend speaking to a collaborative lawyer. I've done marriage contracts in a collaborative form where each person is represented by a lawyer, and we have full and frank conversations about finances. And that way, there will be no doubt in the future as to whether or not anyone understood the nature and consequences of the agreement they enter into. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope you found this helpful.